What's up, Black Love fam and first time fam? Welcome to another edition of Man to Man, a part of the Black Love Podcast Network. I'm David Wazicki, General Manager of Black Love, and today we're going to talk to a Black Love favorite, one of my favorites personally. He's a life coach and a relationship coach. He was featured on season 4 of Black Love. I gotta mention, he's a native New Yorker. Always got to point that out every time it comes up. And he's one half, one half of the Amazing Clarks. So he's, I think he's half man, half amazing. It's my man, the Anthony Clark. What's
What?
up, brother?
What's up, brother? Wow! Thank you for that amazing intro. That was beautiful. Yeah, and I feel the same way about you, brother. And yes, Brooklyn is definitely in the house.
In the house, sound the
Yes,
horn.
yes.
Bum, bum, bum. We here now, New York. So you were originally a guest on the OG Instagram Live edition of Man to Man. So I'm very, very happy to bring you on board here to the podcast edition.
Right. Glad to be
And
back.
yeah. I'm ready to jump into all the things with you again. And how we kick things off here with the podcast edition is with us getting you man to man blue check certified. So, so we've got one question on man to man. We ask everybody to kick it off to get the seal of approval and that blue check. You ready?
Let's do it.
What does masculinity mean to you?
What does masculinity mean to me? To me, masculinity means having the courage to be vulnerable and to be your authentic self in all situations. It's not about a label. I feel like once we tap into our true authenticity, that's where our masculinity lies. It's not in me trying to act or pretend to be a certain way or somebody I'm not. It's just me being vulnerable and naked in all situations. So that's my. So did I pass? Did I get my card?
Blue check.
Blue check. Got it. Bang.
Right.
Let's do it. Beautiful.
No, I love it. I love it. You know, the interesting thing about that question, it's like a snowflake. I've never seen, heard, received a response that was the same. So I love that. And I love that mostly because it verifies to me that masculinity does in fact supersede, as you just said, it supersedes a label.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's when it goes into the vibe, that's when it goes into emotion, that's when it goes into whether you dip into your masculine energy, your feminine energy, your combination of the two, it supersedes the label. So
Exactly. And on top of that, everybody's unique. And so it's going to be a little different for everybody. Once you try to make it generic and be like, it's just this template that you have to fit in, to me, that's not it. Everybody's going to express it differently. And the only way that you're going to really get to the core of it is by going to your essence, by going to your spirit, the deepest part of you. Start from there. Everything else, there going up from there, to me, is just like clothing that we put on top of it. The facade, the ego, everything else. So go back to basics.
I love that. Let me so with that, let me transition because you have at this stage listening to you on the Amazing Clarks podcast, hearing you speak at the recent Black Love Summit this year, last year's Black Love Summit, Black Love, the docuseries. I'm saying Black Love a lot. I guess I'm plugging you, as well as the show,
It's all right.
and the company as a whole, and the network, and all those things. But
Hey,
I was going to say all of that to say, you have this wealth of knowledge. You have this wealth of expertise. You have an ease about you now. But again, you grew up in Brooklyn, and growing up in Brooklyn, you mentioned this on your podcast yourself. So to you, I'm not saying anything new, but to our audience, you grew up during a very tough time. You said yourself you were this intuitive kid
Hmm.
who dreamt about love, was connected to himself. But first of all, how did you get there at such a young age? And growing up during these tough times in Brooklyn, how did you continue to progress and elevate yourself to continue down that road?
Hmm.
You essentially came full circle from that kid growing up in Brooklyn.
Right.
I'd love to understand how you continued that path or came full circle to where we are now.
Great question. So let's start with childhood.
Mm-hmm.
I personally believe that all of us, when we're born, we're extremely connected to our higher self, and we're of spirit. And then as we get older, our parents, society, they start teaching us right, wrong, good, bad. And then the ego starts to develop. And the ego's focused on the external world, not the internal world. And the more you get pulled into your external, the further away you move from the internal and your spirit and your true essence. And growing up as a kid, for some reason, I was aware of that. And I was observing my siblings and other people around me moving to the external and moving away from spirit. And I consciously chose to stay within because I knew that that's where everything I wanted and my happiness and my fulfillment, that's where it was coming from. And so as I started getting older and going into the streets, I couldn't continue to be that sweet, loving, spiritual being because I was getting my ass kicked, to be perfectly honest. And still trying to love everybody and get them to come back to where I was. That was like my quest, to get them to come back home, get them to come back to spirit. And it wasn't happening. And then I started observing the adults around me that were in relationships and chaos and the broken hearts and the fighting. And when you're still in that place, when you're still connected to your higher self within, when you observe people on the outside that are what I call lost, they have moved away from their higher self, you feel it because you know what they're looking for is within. And so at that point, I made a promise to myself that I'm going to do something about it one day, that I'm going to grow up one day because I get it. And I'm going to teach the world how to love. I'm going to attract my soulmate. We're going to have this amazing love affair. Then we're going to turn around and teach the rest of the world how to do that. And when you're in that place, in that internal within yourself with spirit, you know that anything is possible. You know that our potential and our power is limitless. And as a kid, I knew that. So I knew that this was something that could actually be done and that I would actually do one day. And I would listen to love songs and I would visualize it, which is a big part of manifestation. So even as a kid, it's a knowing. It's a knowing. And so it's like a deer or a pony being born. Intuitively, they know to get up. Intuitively, they know to start running right away. So our spirit's the same way. So I made that commitment. I would visualize and listen to love songs. And then I went onto the streets. I got older. And then when I realized that I couldn't maintain that right now, that in order to survive in that environment, that I had to kind of snuff that side of me out, to kind of pinch it off for a while. And I literally had a conversation with my spirit like, you know what? I'm going to come back to you. But right now, I got to put you in the closet. I can't do it right now. I got to do it this way. I got to become like them. I got to go outside of me. I got to be external. And that's the only way that I'm going to survive. So that's what I did. It was either like be the prey or be predator. And so in a lot of ways, I was forced to become a predator. But even through those times, what saved me was that I still had that somewhat of a connection to my higher self. And it would guide me through dangerous situations over and over again where I should have been wrapped up. I should have been in prison. I should have been dead. But each time it would spare me, or that little voice in my head that said, don't go that way, make a left turn, go right. Don't go down that block, go down this block. And it got me through. And once I turned 18, and I went to move to California, 3,000 miles away. It was like I had a second shot at life. And I realized that now I don't want to cut corners anymore. I don't need to be a predator anymore. I don't have to look over my back anymore. Now I could go back to my higher self. And I went back in the closet and pulled that spirit out and I dusted it off. And it was like, let's do it. And so since then, it's just been who I am. And it's been an amazing partnership, an amazing journey. And it's good to be back. It's really good to be back.
Let me ask one thing, not to make light of this, because you said you got your ass kicked, but you're a pretty big guy.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, the fact that we were eye level, so I'm 6'4". I don't know. Are you 6'4"?
6'4", 6'5", yeah. 6'5".
Yeah. So, we're two pretty big guys.
Right.
So to hear that you got your ass kicked to the point that you had to table spirit, that's pretty big. And I think people hopefully get that visual that if it was a guy that big, there were some tough things going on in BK at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Free to table spirit.
Oh, yeah. And it was constant. It was from the time that I had to go to school, have to go through the hood, have to survive that. Then I would go through the Italian neighborhoods to get to school. So I had to survive them. Then I had to deal with the cops. And that's just going to school. Then I have to turn around and come back home and do it again. So, and even with the spiritual side of it, the not wanting to fight, because I wanted to love on people. I didn't want to fight people. So I didn't want to learn how to fight. And my siblings would pick on me. My brother would pick on me, beat me up every day after school, beat me up. And I would tell my mother because that's the right thing to do. And she'd get on him, but nothing would change. Then one day he came home and he hit me and I couldn't take it anymore. And I hit him, I punched him back and he stopped. And I'm all crying and what are you doing? Let's fight. I was like, why didn't you hit me back? And he's like, because I just wanted you to fight. You're my little brother. I just wanted you to stand up for yourself. And you did that. So I was like, wait a minute, that's easy. Then the next day he'd come home and he did it again. I just thought, let me just throw a punch and he'll stop. And I threw a punch and he punched me in my mouth. Bow. And I'm like, whoa, I threw a punch back. Why'd you hit me? He said, yeah, you threw up. He said, now it's time to learn how to fight. And it was like, I get it. And after that, I fell in love with fighting. I mean, I would literally come home every day after school and for 2 hours, just shadow box in the mirror. Then my brother would come home and we'd fight for another hour until it got to the point where I loved it. And then when I went onto the street, it was a completely different story. No more getting my ass kicked. Anthony was kicking ass. So, yeah. Yes.
Kicking his way back in spirit.
Yes.
I love this internal, external dialogue that you're mentioning, because it's something for me. I feel everything starts internally. So to use your words, everything starts with the heart. Everything starts with the mind. That mind heart connection, and that's what radiates outwards to the world.
Right.
So, and you even mentioned, it felt good to be back. It felt good to be Anthony once you moved across from East Coast to West Coast, once you had a moment to reconnect with spirit, because spirit was a big part of you. For somebody who's having issues with connecting to spirit, because I think sometimes that may sound too woo-woo, that may sound too esoteric for some. I get you. I'm with you.
Right.
We've already had some dialogue around this. But for the typical person, how would you suggest one gets internal? How do you start going there and getting more familiar and acquainted to get towards spirit?
We get this question all the time as coaches because people come to us for that specific reason. And what we tell them is that, first of all, you have to want it. You have to want to connect, and you have to be open-minded about it. If you approach it like, prove it to me, prove that I have a spirit, it ain't going to happen. You have to go into it going, you know what? I'm open, even if I don't know for sure. I want to know, and I'm open to learning. And if I do have a higher self, I want to connect with it. It starts with that. then you open up the subconscious mind and you're basically signaling that I'm ready for it. Then the next step would be gratitude and appreciation. Gratitude and appreciation. So everything that we see in the external world is created by something unseen. Everything that's seen is created by the unseen. And when you go into a place of gratitude and appreciation, start with the things that you can see. So something as simple as your hands. We have this amazing piece of machinery that could move in so many different ways. If you cut yourself, it'll heal it. It'll heal itself for you. It allows you to eat. It allows you to hug. It allows you to do so many different things. But most people take it for granted. They never stop to look at something so simple and go, wow, and appreciate it. So once you can start appreciating these things that are right in front of you that we all take for granted, and realizing how amazing that it is, and then realizing that whatever created this universe, created this for you, and it created it in a way that it obviously loves you. Because if it didn't love you, why would it care if you got cut? Why would it want to heal you naturally? Why would it make you this incredible being? Why would it give you vision? Why would it give you the ability to eat? Why would it give you the ability to feel love and to love your family and friends? So whatever created us and whatever created this universe cared and loves us. So once you start thinking on that level, you start going deeper. And then you see more to appreciate and more things to have gratitude for. And love, gratitude, and appreciation. Gratitude and appreciation is love in its smallest and most concentrated form. And the more that you appreciate something, the more that you'll like it. And if you keep appreciating it, you'll love it. And if you keep appreciating it, you'll fall in love with it. And so the more you do that, then you fall in love with you, then automatically that connection starts opening up. It starts unraveling. And so it's like a little baby, like an embryo that's inside of you, and it's dormant, it's asleep. And the more attention you pay with love to it, and feed it love and gratitude, the more it starts to wake up, then it starts to grow. And when your spirit, most people have a hard time connecting the spirit to their higher self because they have so many distractions in their head. The bills, tomorrow, the past, the fears, the anxieties. And the only way you're going to connect with spirit is to be in the now, in the moment, in the now. Yeah. And spirit's not going to fight over that loud noise. Spirit whispers. Spirit whispers. It whispers. And it's always trying to guide you. It's always trying to connect with you. But most people, they can't hear it over that loud. You can't hear it because of the loud noise. And spirit's not going to get louder to try to drown out that loud noise. You have to drown out that loud noise, turn the volume down on that other stuff, and then spirit will get louder. You'll be able to hear it. And so that would be what we would tell people to start with. And once you do that, there's no turning back. It's like the Matrix. Once you take that pill, that red pill, it's not going back. You know what I'm saying? And so that, to me, life is really not truly ever going to be amazing. Your relationship is never going to truly be as amazing as it could be until you tap into that spiritual connection within. We always say that if you don't go within, you will go without. And so go within. Yeah. Everything you need is right there. Yeah. And so we're very passionate about it. We've been, studying this and living this for about 40 years, 35 years now, And I wish it for everybody. If we could all get there, because once you connect to spirit and your higher self, you get so much clarity and you see so many things that you couldn't see before and so many realizations. And one of them is that we are all one and we're all connected. When we look at each other in the external world, there's this illusion that looks like this creek called separation, like you're over there and I'm over here. That's an illusion. When you go to quantum physics, they prove that everything in this universe is one. And when they go into a particle, the deepest that they can go is 10 to the negative 33 centimeters. And at that point, they hit the fabric of the universe. It's called Planck scale. And at Planck scale, everything is one. It's just waves of pure potentiality. And so when you realize that, it's like, okay, if we're all one and if you're a version of me, and if you're a version of me, how can I hurt you? How can I see you starving and being homeless? How can I stand by and watch other people hurt you? So once you have that realization where one, you realize that that's the key to healing the world. That's the key to ending poverty. That's the key to ending violence. Now, is it possible for us all to get there? Anything's possible. But it's only gonna happen once we start to realize who we really are, that we are spiritual beings having a physical world experience.
Yeah, what you just said, that I do my best to live by it. I think, a lot of times we do get caught up in all the little things. I mean, I truly think they are little things. Scrolling the iPhone too long and just deep diving into social media, and then you come out 2 hours later and what did you gain from that? Or
exactly.
Emails, dings, notifications, the news cycle, you name it, it's just out there, ads, commercials. But I think with all of that, do you feel there is this loss? I don't know if that's the right phrase, but I'm just going to go with it. With this loss of sacredness to the simple things, because I feel like, and here's my context for it. I feel once upon a time, going back to indigenous people in this country alone, there's, indigenous all over the world that have been displaced, but going back to indigenous folk in this country, there were a multitude of religions. They all appreciated the earth. They all appreciated that sunset, that sunrise. They appreciated every little part of an animal when they hunted. They would say a prayer before they would kill their prey to be able to feed their whole tribe. I just felt like there was such an appreciation for these little things, and I feel as though some people mistaken it for an ignorance or an unknowing. Oh, you're just not aware that the globe goes around 24 hours a day.
Right.
No, but they knew, because the
they
ancient
did.
Egyptians knew a lot more than we know in this present day. But
Yeah.
that's for another time. But I just believe, it's some of our ignorance in the modern day where we take for granted what was known back then and the level of spirituality they had. But over time, it's kind of this double-edged sword where we know so much and we're almost too smart for our own good that we start to forget the essence of the highest good, and that's spirituality.
Yes.
All of that context to say, do you feel there is that loss of sacredness that's missing in our society today?
Oh, definitely. And that goes back to what I was saying about if you don't go within, you will go without. Most people are living without. They're living in the external. And everything in the external is superficial. And so it's like we're all searching. Really what everybody's doing is, I believe they're searching to get back to who they really are. They just don't know it. And they're trying to do it through happiness. So they're searching for happiness. And most people, they're looking for that happiness outside of them. And whenever you try to look for that happiness and that connection and those things outside of you, you're going to always eventually be disappointed. And it's called the hedonic impact. And so everything in this world is impermanent, meaning eventually it's going to fall apart, break down, or if it's a person, it's going to disappoint you. The only thing in this world that's permanent is energy. Energy never dies. It just goes into form, out of form, cannot be destroyed. And that energy is within in us, called spirit. So when people when they're looking for that happiness outside of them, you know what? That house will make me happy. Then they get that house and they're happy for a little while. And then they're like, I'm not happy anymore. It's not doing it. I need a bigger house. That car, it does it for a little while. Then wait, I need a new car, a different car, or it breaks down. That person, Okay, they make you happy for a little while, but eventually they take their attention away from you, act in a way that you don't want them to act. Then you're unhappy again. Well, I need a different person. So it never ends, and you'll never find that true happiness there. You'll have moments of it, but it'll never solve the problem. Now, once you go within and find that happiness first and foremost from that connection with your spirit, that one thing in this universe is permanent, then you'll never be disappointed. It'll never go away. It'll always be consistent. And at that point, you'll have that happiness. Now, you may still want the things outside of you, but you don't need them.
Right.
Because you have what you need already.
Right.
So now I don't have to invest all my time in online social media trying to find that happiness in that next text or that next like. I don't have to find it in all those other ways because I already have it within. The outside world's just a hologram of what's going on inside of you. And so stop chasing it out there and go inside of you. Yes. Yeah. And in a lot of, this goes back to what we were talking about, people getting that connection to spirit. One of the great ways to do it. One of the great ways to do it is to think like your higher self. When you start thinking like your spirit, you start connecting with your spirit. And so your higher self knows that it's the creator of everything in existence. And your higher self knows that everything's made of love. And you're a part of that. It's a part of you. You are that. So now, if you're the creator and part of everything in existence, and everything's made of love, what is there to fear? How can there be lack? What is there to be ashamed about? And so your higher self looks at everything in every single moment through the eyes of love, abundance, and appreciation. Love, abundance, and appreciation, because it knows the truth. When we look at things through the eyes of love, abundance, and appreciation, it feels amazing. And the reason that it feels amazing, because that's our higher self letting us know, right now, your perspective on this subject matches the perspective of your higher self. You are in alignment. And when you're in alignment, life is magical. Your intuition's off the hook. Everywhere you go, things just work out. Everywhere you go, people are attracted to you. That's when you're in your sweet spot. It's like your spirit's leading to everything that you want. And it's like that phone signal that's so clear. Spirit's like, go left, make this move, make that move. And it just works out because you can hear spirit. And that's why it feels so good. Or when other people look at you through the eyes of love, abundance, and appreciation, it feels amazing as well. Because once again, that's your higher self letting you know you're in alignment. Keep doing that, and you'll continue to get what you want. Now, let's flip that. Whenever we look at things through the eyes of fear, doubt, lack, anger, shame, guilt, jealousy, it feels horrible. And the reason that it feels horrible is because that's our higher self spanking us to get our attention. That's a discomfort. Your higher self's going, hey, I'm trying to get your attention. I'll spank you all day long. I'll do this as long as we have to until I get your attention. And then when it gets your attention, it's trying to let you know, I'm trying to lead you to everything that you want. But right now, your perspective on this subject does not match the perspective of your higher self. You are out of alignment. And so you've deviated off the highlighted route. And so your higher self is trying to get you to come back, but your perspective has to change to get back in alignment. And so it's like your spirit's trying to lead you, but the signal's bad. It's like, hey, I'm trying to go down this, go to the street. You can't hear it. And when you don't have that connection to spirit, that's when you feel frustrated. That's when you feel hopeless. That's when you feel afraid. That's when you feel like life is not worth living and you want to just give up. That's when you start looking for it in those little things like the text and trying to, in the little corners and cracks and crevices, and you ain't going to find it there. How do you change it now to get back in alignment? Change your perspective. Have gratitude and appreciation for your situation, regardless of what it is, right here and right now. I always say, like, it's like I'm going somewhere and I have an appointment and I go to the car, I have a flat tire. My initial response, I can't help that anger, that frustration. But that frustration, that emotion is letting me know I'm out of alignment right now. And if I stay out of alignment, I'm going to get more of this. And this is a day in my life I'm never going to get back. So now, change your perspective. And we have a belief, we say a saying, EIP, everything is perfect. There are no accidents, there are no mistakes. Everything that's unfolding is unfolding for my greater good. The universe is playing chess, not checkers. So this happened for a reason, and I'm grateful that it happened. Okay, EIP, everything's perfect. Now, just by doing that, I'm back in alignment now in gratitude. Now it's like, okay, let me change the tire. My wife's still in the house. Let me go get some coffee. I'm going to bring her out here. We're going to listen to music, make out while we fix the tire and this and that. And maybe this was done to stop me from getting into an accident. Maybe to prevent me from getting a ticket. I don't know. But I have faith that it happened for a good reason. So I'm going to stay in appreciation. Now, all of a sudden, I had a great day. I had a great experience. I had a wonderful time with my wife. And maybe while changing the tire, I realized, you know what? We didn't have a spare. And maybe she would have had that car. Oh, my God. If she would have had a flat, she'd have been on her own. So now, you know what I'm saying? It'll always work out when you go to EIP. But that's one of the best ways to connect with your higher self, by thinking like your higher self from moment to moment. To make a long story short, but too late for that. That was really long.
We're in already.
Yeah, we're in already. Too deep. Oh, so go ahead.
No, I was going to say I love EIP. I am taking that as part of my repertoire because I feel as though, again, with all the things, with all the distractions, with all of all of it these days, and trying to get us back to this connectedness, this alignment, as you very well put it, I think we need to have these anchors. And I think you mentioning this acronym EIP and the meaning behind it, it's a beautiful anchor. You can just remember remember three letters to bring you back to alignment.
You got it.
I mean, that's gold to me. That's like,
that's
everything.
That's everything. Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead.
And that's how we use it. And all of our clients use it. And we had a nephew that passed, and he passed pretty young. But he knew all this stuff. We taught him all this stuff. He lived by it. And when he passed, on his tombstone, instead of RIP, we put EIP.
Wow.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
That is beautiful.
The embodiment of it, man. Yeah.
Well, it's tough to transition from that. I thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thank you.
I wanted to say, just in speaking with spirituality, listening to spirit, being in alignment, I know you had this recent trip to Ghana, which we started to talk about at the Black Love Summit behind the scenes, and was looking forward to this conversation to really jump into it. Because I think, have you ever watched this movie, or at least know of this movie, Belly? It's with Nas and DMX.
Yeah.
So Nas's character, the whole movie, he kept talking about, yeah, man, I'm gonna go back to Africa. We're gonna go back to the motherland. Blah blah blah. So,
right.
When you mention just the way you felt coming back from Ghana, it put me in that mindset that I said, well, this is bigger. This is bigger and better than fiction. This is bigger and better than just that storyline of, oh yeah, one day, you're now about to live this thing. I mean, you're on the verge. You're both on the verge of moving there, correct? Correct. That's the goal, baby. Yes, the journey for us started about 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, and one day, I had about three of my buddies that went to Ghana, and they all three came back. I'm like, yo, you got to go to Ghana. You got to move to Ghana. And they bought houses there, and they would show me these beautiful homes on the beach and this and that. But in my mind, like most Americans, I'm not going to front, like most Black Americans, Africa's was at the top of my mind as far as like places I got to go because of the programming that we've been given when it comes to Africa. That it's some place you want to stay away from. It's poverty and danger and so after them telling me 3 times, it was like, And then my spirit said, research it. And when my spirit talks, I listen. So I said, okay. And I started doing research and trying to find everything that I could about Ghana, the good, the bad, the ugly. And the more research I did, the more my spirit was like, yes, go. The more I started to love it. But then I'm like, my wife, Melanie, she's gonna be like, what? Move to Ghana? It's like, so for 3 years, I didn't say anything. I just did research. Okay. Okay.
And then finally, it was like, one day it was like, you know what? Let me throw it out there. It's like, babe, what do you think about moving to Ghana? I was like, brace yourself. And she was like, she stopped and she thought about it. It was like, Ghana. That feels right. And it was like, whoa. Yeah. Because she went to Spirit as well. My Spirit said to go. So we eventually got there. And the most powerful part of it, first of all, was that the realization that after 400 years of slavery and Jim Crow and being in America, that I was the first one from my ancestors, of descendant, to step foot back on the continent. Our DNA to step foot back. So that one first step when I landed, I took a photo of that first step because I realized the magnitude of it. And when we first got there, it was like a culture shock. And we left the airport and it was just people on just the kids, just like, whoa, 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 whoa. And Melanie felt it too. We got to the hotel and it was like, okay, what just happened? Something just happened. That was a lot because there's people hustling on the streets, sellers and everywhere, and people, it's like, and we said, okay, let's open up our minds. Don't compare it to America. That's what I think we're doing. Let's just relax, be in the moment, and let it settle. So after about 8 hours, it kicked in. And it was beautiful. When I looked outside to see the beauty, to see it's a tropical environment, it was just this sense of connection. I could literally feel our ancestors. And I know that sounds crazy, but I could feel the ancestors. And then we went shopping, and there they don't really, because they're hustling, the people, they don't really respect your, like the boundaries, like in America, your space.
Yeah,
you know, we have our space. Yeah, we have that space thing. They're just friendly people, and they just running up on me. And at first it was like my Brooklyn stuff kicked in, and it was like, yo, yeah, like, yo, they're running up on us, like, and they're looking at me like, what's wrong with them?
Like,
and I could feel,
you're the one standing up, not them.
Yeah. And so I realized, like, wait a minute, I'm the aggressor. It's me. It's not them. It's me. It's like, oh, my bad. Let me drop my Brooklyn bullshit. Let me drop that. Put that in the closet. Okay. And then at that point, man, the connection, the amount of love, I was home. It was obvious we were home. And the way I described it is like, in America, you have your family and your community, your immediate family that might live in your house. Then once you maybe go to visit some more family, you have to leave that house and go into the street. And then there's strangers and disconnection until you get back to your family. There, it's the opposite. There's family and connection in the house, in your home, but then when you go onto the street, that family and connection continues. Everybody's a community. Everybody still treats you like family. And then you get to your destination with more family. But there's never a point where there's not community. I compare it to like a hug that you get 24 hours a day being there. Wow. That you don't realize that you're not getting when you're in America. And it's like, wait a minute, in America, I don't get any hugs. But here, it's 24 hours a day. I'm getting just this hug. And you walk down the street, man, and people were just so happy to see us. They're like, brother, sister, welcome home. This is your home. We love you. Come here. They're eating on the street. People with not very much they're eating. You want to eat? You hungry? Come on. They invite you to eat. It's like love. Just no, at least in Ghana, no violence. If there's crimes, there's a few petty crimes in an entire city. You don't really even see police because the people have such a sense of community that they don't need police. The food was amazing. When we got to the hotel and we stayed in the city, and our tour guide was amazing, and he said, I want you to go to the rural areas. I'm going to take you out there because to really understand Africa, you have to go to the rural areas. And Accra in the city is great, but you have to go out there to be with the people. So we left, and we spent a week in the villages. And just like I said, the most loving, gentlest, kindest people. I didn't see poverty, prosperity everywhere. And when we got back to the hotel, I told our tour guide, when we first left, I was an African American. Now coming back, I'm an African.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And it was just beautiful, man. And we went, we checked out the property. The government, what they're doing is that they have, if you're from the African diaspora, they're saying, come back home. We'll give you dual citizenship. They even have land set aside for African Americans for us to come home. And
hold on.
Yeah.
They have land set aside.
The government set land aside. Beachfront property, forest property, you name it. Beautiful land set aside for us. For us, specifically. Wow. And so all we have to do is wake up and come home. You know what? I describe it like through slavery, what they did was they kidnapped our ancestors and they brought us to America and they put us in a cell, pretty much. And then slavery ended and they opened up the cell. Well, at least physical slavery ended. So now the cell doors opened up. And most African Americans are afraid to leave the cell and go back home because they feel more comfortable in that cell than they do with the thought of going back home to Africa.
Let's pause for a second because that's deep, and I know exactly. So, I mean, that's metaphoric on so many different levels of life, but specifically for African American, that's the truth. I mean, it's been shown. I mean, there's studies on studies that prove this, that you just get so comfortable. I mean, think about, I mean, I'm sure we all know somebody, you know, I have folks that have come out of prison. It's too jarring. It's too much of a change from the inside. Coming back as a civilian again, you just do something to F up and go right back in because they just were no longer comfortable. They can't deal with the change.
Yeah. They're more comfortable with what they're familiar with, you know.
There you go. Yeah.
And being in Africa, man, it was like, first of all, on top of that, the cost of living was amazing. So the American dollar went 6 times further. So if you have $100, you have 600 Canadian dollars. If you have $10,000, you have 60,000 Canadian dollars. And so it was like, why wouldn't you come back home? Why wouldn't you want to live here? Safe, at least. Now I can't speak for all of Africa because there are parts like every place else. But I know I'll speak for Ghana, West Africa.
Yep.
It was like the cost of living is amazing. You can live like a king. We got that property set aside for me. Right. Nothing but love from the community and from the people. It was like the first time in my life that I could just exhale and just be me, like fully to that degree, be me, and not worried about being judged by, you know, others. And I don't know how many times I cried. Like there were just moments where I just broke down, man, because just overwhelmed with joy, overwhelmed with the connection that you feel to the ancestors. And at first it was like, I felt like, okay, I was acting like a visitor in another country. But then after a while, it hit me like, wait a minute, I'm not a damn visitor. This is my country. This is my home. I'm not a visitor. And the people like, duh. That's what we've been trying to tell you, brother. This is your home. Oh, yes. But we can't wait to get back. So our plan is to move there. We're going to live in both places, have dual citizenship, and get a place there. And our goal is to start a retreat. That's the ultimate goal, to get land, build a retreat, so that our clients and people from all around the world can come and you know, we'll focus on spirituality, relationships, you name it. And we'll have a home on that retreat as well. And that'll be, you know, our semi-retirement and then eventually our retirement. Yes, but it's beautiful, man. And it's there for all of us, you know. So I highly recommend that, you know, people go to Ghana, start, at least start researching it.
Yeah.
And it'll be worth it. And and coming back home now, coming back to America, over the last couple of weeks, we had more than a few days where me and Melanie both woke up and were just like feeling this little depressed. And because you miss it.
Yeah.
Once you experience the Garden of Eden, it's hard to go back to to this, So, but we're using that as motivation and fuel, to keep us focused so that we, get back there as soon as possible. But yeah. Oh, and by the way, and I even got a name. They gave me my African name while I was there.
What is it?
Kofi. Kofi. Right. And what they do is that they go by the day that you were born. And so when they brought this all out, they were like, yeah, Friday, what day were you born? It's like Friday. Okay, Kofi. So everywhere I went, the vendors on the streets, everybody knew me. They were like, Kofi, hey, Kofi, yeah. And then I did my research and found out I was actually born on Thursday. So it's not really Kofi. Wait, but I ain't telling. I was like, yo, they don't need to know. Hey, it's Kofi. Yeah, it's me.
Yeah. We'll make a name change later. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely heading out there when you have the retreat. That's for
beautiful.
Sure.
You are more than welcome.
And these aren't just words. So firstly, I've been, prior to the whole, whatever you want to call it, pandemic, otherwise, I've been looking forward to visiting, but it's over. I think. See, and this is something we need to get better as a people. I believe it's 53 countries in Africa.
Right.
Somebody's going to have to.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Verify that. Yeah. But let's say 50, at least 50 plus, and I've always been trying to figure out where first, because I have Morocco on the list.
Right.
I have the beautiful city of Addis Ababa, and then you brought up Ghana, and I've heard Ghana a few times, and then I have a few Nigerian friends, so of course they just Nigeria all day, every day.
Right.
So yeah, but I just didn't know where to start. But I mean, this story and this experience and this just feeling, and the fact that there's land waiting for me.
Yes.
Yeah. This may have to go to top of African countries to visit first, but
right. We met quite a few brothers and sisters that moved there from America. There's a huge community. Yeah, there's a huge community, and it's growing really quickly. And they all told me the same exact thing. They said, Africa, there's lots of great countries in Africa. They said, but start with Ghana. Spend at least a year in Ghana before you venture out to other places. They said, even Nigeria. They said, Nigeria's amazing. But Ghana is going to give you that foundation and a deeper understanding and connection that you won't get from other places as quickly and as deeply. So start with Ghana. They said, don't even go to other, we would recommend don't go to Nigeria or other countries for a year. Then expand after that year. And it'll be a completely different experience. You'll connect to the cultures, and no matter where you go, you'll get it. Because there is a paradigm shift that's going to happen. And so that's what I was told, and I actually believed it. I actually felt it and was like, you know what, that's true. And my spirit told me that that was true as well. So when spirit talks, I listen. So start with Ghana.
I hear that. To that point of keeping yourself clear, keeping this clarity with spirit. Spirit's been the theme, and I think it's just the theme of your life, frankly, and you and Melanie. And I mean, it should be for everybody. I think that's the moral of this story. But in terms of keeping that up and just keeping your positivity outside of that beautiful anchor that is EIP, what are you doing on a daily basis, typical day of wellness? What does that look like for you from a mind, body, and or soul perspective? What is Anthony Kofi Clark doing on a daily basis?
Okay, so I will say that I start off my day with gratitude and appreciation. As soon as I wake up, I take them a moment to think about the things I'm grateful for. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful for this beautiful woman next to me, my wife. I'm grateful for my family. So I go through my gratitude list. Then I spend quality time with my wife. And that's connected me into my love frequency. And then we consciously create our day. We don't just wake up and just go. We consciously create. What do we want to experience? How do we want to feel? And when we do that, then that energy goes in front of us. And then throughout the day, we'll just move into it. I make it a point to try to work out. Sometimes I'm better than some days are better than others, but I try to get at least 4 days per week to work out. And by working out, it's just with a fit body, it just keeps my mind clear, keeps my energy going. It's very important to be physically healthy, to have that spiritual connection as well. Throughout that, then working with clients. And I'm very blessed because we've been life coaches for 22 years. And as a life coach and a relationship coach, and we coach people for everything you can imagine. But by working with them, I get that satisfaction from contributing and being in service of others. And then by the coaching sessions, it's always a reminder for us because we're reminding the clients and connecting them to spirit, which then in the process, we get that too. So it's always a reminder, always top of mind for us. We can't escape it. Yeah. And then we love the work that we do. So even just doing that is gratifying and connects me to spirit and satisfaction and keeps me in alignment. Spending time with the family at the end of the day when I get home with my daughter. And we'll always have spiritual conversations. It's something constructive. In our household, we don't talk about a lot of, insignificant things. And our daughter's been raised like that since she was a baby. And ultimately, my goal every morning is to live my life from a place of alignment as much as possible, because the thing that I appreciate more than anything else is that peace of mind at the end of the day. When I go to bed, it's so important for me to go to bed with peace of mind. Peace of mind, knowing that I maximize this day in my life that I'll never get back again, that I tried my best, even if I have down days, off days, which are okay too, because that contrast is important. So by experiencing what you don't want, it helps you to get clearer on what it is that you do want. So even with the things don't work out, it goes back to EIP. Yep. And I'm still grateful. And so that is the day for me in the life of Anthony Clark. And it's a day of alignment. It's a day of appreciation, of knowing that I'm having an opportunity to enjoy this experience, this earthly experience, and it's not going to last forever. And I'm always aware that the clock is ticking. So I try to live my life in the present and not the future and not the past, in the present, because in the present is the only place we have power and control. And it's the only thing that's real. The closest thing to real is the present. So that is the day. And if I do that, then it's a great day. And I tend to do that every day, to tell you the truth. Because I've been doing it for so long that it's just like breathing. It's second nature. Yeah. So.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Every time we talk, the time just goes, and I feel like that's when you get into something called flow state. I think the energy just lends itself, and I could talk all day with you.
I could do the same thing with you, brother. Same thing, yeah.
And I love this. So stay tuned for another installment, for real. In the meantime, just to get to closing, be mindful of your time. Are there any projects you want to let the people know about that's coming up? Besides, of course, the beautiful work you and Melanie do on a weekly basis via the Amazing Clark's podcast, the amazing work you do as coaches, life coaching, relationship coaching, all the coaching. Yeah. Is there
Yeah.
anything else? I'll give you the stage.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Well, the first thing that we have that's exciting, which I realize we don't talk about it as much because we're so many things in our life that's exciting. We have a book that's Amazon #1 international national bestseller. It's called "Crack the Code: Secrets to Achieving Your Happily Ever After." It's a great book for couples, even for singles that want to understand relationships and how to have a successful relationship. So that's available on Amazon.com. So I'd highly recommend you guys get a copy of that. We also have our Life Coach Academy, the Law of Attraction Life Coach Academy. We've been training and certifying people that want to become life coaches. We've been doing that for 10 years and certified over 3,000 coaches worldwide. And it's even a great class for people that want to learn how to life coach themselves, just so you can use it with your family, so you don't have to necessarily become a life coach. Then we also, over the next month, we have a couples course and a course for single women that we'll have coming out. So to learn more about that, they can go to theamazingclarks.com and find out, keep track of when we drop that. So for the most part, that's what we got going on. We're very, very blessed. Yes, sir. You got it.
Yep. Booked and busy and blessed, and I'm loving it. And I'm loving it because it's all serving. It's all serving at the end of the day. So
yes, sir. Thank you,
Anthony. Thanks again for making the time for this conversation and going man to man with me today. Fam, listening, you can follow Anthony and Melanie at The Amazing Clarks on Instagram. You can listen to their podcast, The Amazing Clarks, part of the Black Love Podcast Network. You can find it wherever you listen to podcasts, including the Black Love Plus app. In the meantime, make sure to tell another brother, king or queen, about Man to Man so we can keep these conversations going and keep building each other up. And if there's someone you want to hear on Man to Man, connect with me on Instagram at Wasicki, WASICKI, on the IG, and I'll do my best to get them on this show and keep the conversation going. Until next week, peace, love, and EIP.
EIP.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother. It's a pleasure.